Hi class, I want to briefly talk to you about one of the articles that are assigned for reading this week because this includes information that's really important for when you're thinking about setting up a program or an intervention or a health education curriculum. And this article is from the National Library of Medicine, published in Frontiers in Public Health last year, and it looks at different frameworks for how you can select appropriate populations or target audiences for a public health program or intervention. So with this article, the authors look at different ways of thinking about how selecting your population. So they recommend that you think who would benefit best. You can use that thought along with what you find in your needs assessment, which you're also learning about this week, to identify populations who have higher rates of a disease or less access to a resource, and then who would benefit from whatever topic you're focusing on. So say it is something related to nutrition and you want to identify people who don't have access to healthy fruits and vegetables in their neighborhood. You would be looking at them from a location perspective, and your intent would be to try to alleviate that lack of access. So that's just one of the frameworks they talk about in this article. So they're looking at a couple of different things. First is, are we looking at the individual at risk, or are we looking at the whole population? They also then go on to explore vulnerable populations, which is something to consider, where you're looking at the impact of social determinants on health and how that can impact what individuals have access to, the quality of healthcare they may get, etc. I mentioned location. You could focus in on a location, so concepts like food deserts or health insurance deserts, those are areas where residents don't have access to something based on where they live. So there might be spatial demarcations that would provide that parameter for your target population. You also could look at where is somebody in their life course. So what is their age, or a temporal perspective. So something like that would look at children perhaps. If there are lead issues in an area, you might focus on children because they're most at risk of developing long-term health issues if they are exposed to lead at an early age, where for older people, that isn't as significant of an issue. But if you look at older adults, you might want to look at where they're living with regards to how susceptible are they to a fall. Are there grab bars? Are there carpets that they could trip over? Do they have stairs? Things like that. So what could impact someone in their middle age is potentially different than what would impact older adults versus children, specifically because of where they are in their lifespan. So this article goes through and looks at different criteria for selecting your population for your different, your program or your health education curriculum. So they go through and discuss whole population versus those at risk. And the figure here is looking at, okay, we've got a population, and then we have your group that you could look at because they have some sort of biomedical risk. You could look at a group because of the social determinants that they experience. That could define your population, or you could look at something spatial. So where are they located? So you would take that small group out of the whole population as one option, or you can look at the whole population as the other. There's also looking at social determinants of health specifically. I mentioned adding, looking at the lifespan or the life course perspective. So this figure here, figure 2 in the article, looks at whether or not it's a person who's of fertile age. If you have certain exposures, that could impact your fertility, that could impact your risk for developing different types of diseases. When a fetus is developing, they are at risk for genetic anomalies from exposures. Infancy has a different risk set of risks, early childhood as well, and so forth. And then old age, as I mentioned earlier, does as well. So these are the main phases of the life course, and each phase that you're looking at has different factors that you would want to focus on that would be part of a health education curriculum or a health program. So you also could look at all of that together. So segments of the population versus the whole population. You could look at where someone lives in relation to the social determinants of health they experience versus their life course and identify a population that way. So it's not necessarily just one thing that you're going to focus on. There could be a lot of factors that can help you narrow down who your target audience is or your target population is for your health education curriculum. And again, you think about this from some of these different perspectives, but also in tandem with your needs assessment, which is going to identify what some of these issues are. So there is some discussion which further looks into this, but you want to, again, keep in mind the different levels of consideration for selecting who is going to be part of your population, your target group for your study or for your program. Please review this article. If you have any questions, please definitely post them to Blackboard and I will answer them there. But happy thinking about who you want to include for your target population for the curriculum you're going to develop this term. Have a great day.